and welcome to SWAT DEEDS Talk. Usually we do everything, anything, and absolutely nothing. Today we're going to talk about anything, everything, and absolutely nothing. Well, we are going to talk about something, but I don't think it falls under nothing. But those who like Scooby-Doo, yay, we're talking about it. And also, I'm not talking alone. I've got a special guest who is almost as a Scooby-Doo freak as Scooby-Doo was introduced to you. Probably should have phrased that question much more grammatically, but in any case.
Oh, good. Yeah. So probably when I was a kid, like most people. So I'm a late 80s. So I was born in 88. So I've been sort of exposed to Scooby-Doo and a lot of other Hanna-Barbera cartoons from a very young age. I think Cartoon Network is a channel that most people in the UK and probably the US and other countries as well, I'm sure that's something that they can remember. So yeah, like Scooby-Doo, the Flintstones, Top Cat, Hong Kong Phooey, Wacky Races, just watched all of that. But Scooby-Doo was one of the first ones that I watched, and we're talking like the original, the OG series that was in the 70s when it was still being aired.
You see, that's kind of weird because like I live in Sri Lanka, and most of even in my 2000s, we didn't actually have good media channels, and we didn't have. Some people had cable, but usually it's not a wide thing. So basically, the local companies would actually take up very, very old cartoons, like cartoons from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, because I'm not sure. I think those they can afford with copyrights, I think. So they would stream them. So the first Scooby-Doo that I saw was actually the old one. Scooby-Doo, okay. Where are you? But I didn't like it because it was too old. So I didn't like that. Yeah, it's no, like Danny, you're from the 80s. It's from the 70s.
Yes.
And like basically you are 90s. I don't think you're 80s because you're born in 88. So that technically means you are 90s kid.
90s kid, yeah. If you're really technical about it, yeah. I grew up in the 90s, technically.
So I grew up in the 2000s. Also, I have a big peeve about this. Those who at my age always puts them like, we are the 90s kids. And I always correct them and say, you're a baby in the 90s.
I guess everyone has a different interpretation. Some would consider me a late 80s kid. Some would say I was a 90s kid. I was just a kid. It doesn't matter what generation I was born in.
Yeah, but like here's the thing though. Like in the late 80s, basically 90s has begun. So your 2 years, like 1 and 2, is Danny baby boy, and then 3 also a baby boy, 4 also a baby boy, 5 also a baby boy, 6 probably the one you're like, I get into the culture. So that's like way into 1993. Yeah. Same as kind of 93 or 94. Same as for me. I 1997. 3 years, nothing in my brain except like the afterwards part where I actually grew up in the culture. But you can argue that the 80s and the 90s, like the late 80s, basically the 80s hasn't died in the early 90s, and is the sequel the same way? Why are we discussing 80s and 90s?
It was the crossover phase. That's what it was.
So I did see the old Scooby-Doo, which I didn't like, so I didn't spend much of it. But here's the thing, though. I kind of did the same for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because the 80s one was the first one that was playing in my local channel. Didn't like it, but the cartoon that came out in my era specifically stole my heart. And the same thing with Scooby-Doo is that the one that I liked was What's New Scooby-Doo. That was the series that I grew up with. Which aired in 2002 or 2003, probably. Usually all the cartoons that I watched aired in 2003. And that was still PG, but I think even the Hanna-Barbera addiction, why can't I say
Hanna-Barbera. There's an easy way to remember it. So you just think Hanna-Barbera, which is how I used to mispronounce it growing up. It's pronounced Barbera, but it's spelled Barbara. So,
yes, it's Hanna-Barbera cartoons on!
The funny thing is they're both men as well. William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, I think it was.
But also, this Scooby-Doo is now owned by Warner Brothers. So I think when the series that you watched was originally owned by Hanna-Barbera. But,
Yes.
but the series that I started watching was technically now owned by Warner Brothers. So that's like my gold brand. If Bugs Bunny was there, I was like, okay, this will be good. So so we both grew up in Scooby Doo, but like, what was the thing that you liked about it?
I absolutely loved the animation, which was a sign of the times. But I did also like just the general mystery of each episode, like, and especially the antics of what Shaggy. I mean, no. Technically, Scooby Doo would be the 7th one. Obviously, I'm talking about Scrappy Doo, the nephew.
Scrappy Dappy Doo!
Yeah, but Scrappy has gone to the dark side, man. He's fallen like Anakin Skywalker.
Shit, bad Scrappy.
We've seen the live-action movie.
That's actually one of them made me like really. I think like this same time when I think the movie came out, and then they rebooted Scooby Doo, and What's New Scooby Doo came out. So all their fashion sense was very similar to the movie. And I absolutely loved the movie. The movie was like, yes. But again, just like with Shrek, my parents did not like Shaggy and Scooby.
What?
They did not like Shaggy and Scooby.
Why not?
The main scene is that Shaggy and Scooby were in a farting contest.
We're here to solve a mystery.
And my mom and sister saw it like, nah, nah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
So the same response goes for Shrek, is that they hated Shrek, but they were okay with Fiona and Donkey. But when Fiona turned into an ogre, they were like, nah.
Oh well, if a little known fact, I don't know if you know, but Cameron Diaz won a burping competition. Like, so
where did she get that much air? She's like this.
That's just the kind of diverse performer she is.
Oh, it's really funny though.
I mean, as a Hollywood actress, you got to show range, right? I mean,
true. I mean, the vocal range, burping range, best. For me, what about Scooby-Doo that liked is that the Friends. Basically, it was like a little version of the Friends sitcom in a Scooby-Doo manner. That's like the first thing that drew me to it. Again, like we're a lot of segregated society, so girls and boys don't hang out that much together like the gang did. So I was like, that's like the first, like there's girls and boys, and also a dog, and a band. So yeah, that dynamics is the one that first made me like it. But now that I'm much older, I much appreciate it because like here in the rural areas, and especially some places that I've been, is that a lot of superstition still happens. Still people believe in ghosts and something like that. Sometimes a version of exorcism happens. So it really like gave those kids a new way of looking at ghosts and goblins and stuff. Like we're like, it could be fake, right? I mean, these guys can do it. That's like kind of gave us the intellect. And there was a wonderful meme that I think it's from an Indian Facebook page that they shared, is that the best thing that Scooby-Doo taught me about life is that the real monsters wear masks or something like that. The real monsters are people. Let's talk about it in the movie where they blame Shaggy and Scooby for all. I always like. I mean, Fred is technically in the same category, guys.
What can happen by ringing a doorbell, Fred? That!
I think what it is with Fred is that he's, apart from being the leader, I guess maybe there's a loose term to be argued there, but apart from being the leader and essentially the...
That too, doofus!
Wow, fast thinking, Fred.
In the movie, like, I remember, like in
the movie, Fred is just
Yeah, that was like even in the second movie that they did. It's like there was like Black Knight Ghost was about to chop Scooby and Shaggy. Fred comes in with the that's them.
But Daphne's the one that's always the one getting like abducted or captured by the monster, and obviously they make a point of selling that in the film, in the live action movie, to the point where when the group disbands, she obviously learns how to defend herself and fight back.
How are you going to save yourself when you get caught?
I'm a black belt now. I've transformed my body into a dangerous weapon. It's true.
Let us know. Sarah, I think her name is like Sarah, right?
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
I'm just gonna call her Daphne. Did they make you a badass in Scooby-Doo because they hired Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Tell us.
No, I don't think they did purely because of them casting her. I think they may have gone down that same route had it been any other actress. But the fact that they chose Sarah, I think, is coming from the fact that she has the ability to portray vulnerability.
Right in the round tables.
Like meow. Talk about a kung fu cat fight.
And Fred's actually basically doing nothing.
Dang, I still don't have a catchphrase.
Ed, we're gonna need a trap.
Finally.
In obviously the canon of the series, both in the animated series and the live action films, they're meant to be kids. Like, of course, obviously Fred's more so in the live action than the animated series, but obviously Fred's going to be compared to obviously the jock of the group who
is
pretty much there to be the face.
And in cartoons, they usually, in What's New Scooby-Doo, there's like, he's always comparing his benching. So like one episode, how his actually uncle asks, how much are you benching these days? And Fred goes, 220s.
I should warn you, I can bench press 220. I can bench 220. Well, not to boast, but I can bench 220. I'm training to bench 220.
Was red herring, and I think that's a very clever use, because obviously a red herring is like something which you think is important, but is actually completely irrelevant to the story. The fact that they named the character Red Herring, and as it happened, there was actually one episode where he was actually the kid behind the monster. Like the one episode where Fred was, I guess, correct, but I don't remember Fred accusing him. But every episode other than that one, it's obviously it's got to be Red Herring, and he comes along and is like, it's not me, and then obviously Fred gets
bring Red Herring back. We need a new rival for Fred. Now Fred can bench 220s, so bring Red Herring back. So that leads me to my favorite character. Who is your favorite character in the Scooby-Doo?
My favorite character. Do you know what? I don't know if I can pick just the one. But if I had to,
it has to be Fred. Capture the monster. Fred's traps never works, and they do something silly.
Guessing you know that there are three body types. So obviously you have your endomorph, your ectomorph, and your metamorph. I think Shaggy's an ectomorph, is someone who can not store fat at all. That's why those people can eat so much and they stay so thin. I mean, I think all three of them have pros and cons. Like, obviously, the pro is that, an ectomorph, you're always going to be quite lean, but you're not going to be able to put on any muscle or anything. Whereas someone like myself, who's an endomorph, obviously you're very good at storing fat, so you don't have to worry too much about being cold all the time or anything like that. But it takes more effort to get rid of that body fat. But obviously a mesomorph as well, someone, yes, you can get muscular quite quickly, but again, it's kind of like you can't once I don't know that the con's really of a mesomorph. I guess it kind of like
basically there isn't. Basically there isn't.
No, I think there is. I just can't remember what it was. I think.
I fall into somewhere in the middle, like Fred. If you like go and look at Fred's What's New Scooby-Doo shirtless, I would probably look the same, except a Lord Pan. But
no, I can see you being a mesomorph type.
The one you said about Shaggy is actually true. The body type. They actually mentioned it, but they didn't send the body types. But I think they said the side effects of that body type is that there was they go to Mexico basically, and there was this friend who asked him like,
"Is this Shaggy? He doesn't look like he could eat you out of house and home."
He's got a high metabolism.
Yes, that is pretty much it. Like, obviously, metabolism is a lot higher in an ectomorph. I was saying, did you ever see any of like the spin-off stuff? Like the most prominent one being the Scooby-Doo's All-Star Laugh Olympics?
I'm not sure of the title, but like if you explain the show, there would be probably I might relate to it.
So it's basically, again, it's a Hanna-Barbera thing. It consists of it's a sporting cartoon, so it's 3 teams. God, let me see if I can remember right. So you got the Yogi Yahooies, obviously fronted by Yogi Bear. There was, oh God, I can't remember the other 2, but one of them was like had Scooby-Doo as the leader, and then the third group was made up entirely of original characters. And they were the baddies essentially. They were the ones that no one wanted to win anything.
They were the nasties people. They were the nasties.
Oh God, no, the Really Rottens. I think they're called the Really Rottens. So I think Yogi's team were red, Scooby's team were blue, and the Really Rottens or something were green. They were the green colored team.
So be honest, Yogi won, right?
I think if looking at if you go through the statistics of what other people have broken down, I think it is a case that Yogi's team do actually end up winning more of the events than Scooby's team.
Because he's smarter than the average dog.
Even though Scooby's name is in the title of the show, Scooby-Doo's All-Star Laugh Olympics, and Yogi wins most of them. But no, I think Scooby and Shaggy obviously are in the same team, and they have Captain Caveman and the 3 women that are in the show with him, Hong Kong Philly, and I think 1 or 2 other characters who I don't remember. And then Yogi's team, you obviously had Boo Boo and Cindy Bear. You had Pixie and Dixie and the 2 mice and the cat that was with them. No, not Josie and the Pussycats. No, there was Pixie and Dixie and Mr. something. I can't remember. But it was the Pixie and Dixie were the 2 mice, and then there was a cat called Mr. I can't remember his name.
Cats and mice on the same team. Does not work well.
Yeah. But they're from the same show. And then you had Quick Draw McGraw, Huckleberry Hound, Oggy Doggy and Doggy Daddy. So they were all one team. Scooby's lot as another team, and then the Really Rottens, who
so
were
what,
made up.
What would you say, which is your favorite, like compared to all the spin-offs and all the same continuity and all that? What is your favorite? Like I think like you've seen at least 4 or 5, I believe. So what is your favorite among all the Scooby-Doo versions?
All Scooby-Doo versions. Oh gosh, I would probably say. I would have to agree with you that What's New Scooby-Doo, I don't watch it anymore, but from what I have seen, I do also like. Is it Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated? Is the
Ooh, that was the new one. That was like my that played in 2010, and I was in 8th grade. That was also
that's one of the more recent ones, I believe. But yeah, those 2 I probably like more than the OG, but I don't dislike the OG ones. That's the one that's what got me into the franchise, obviously.
I mean, like that's the thing with like every property, right? Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, obviously the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the best writings is in 2012 and also 2003. The 80s one is, I would generally say, crap. but I have massive respect to it because like it was the one that made the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles blew up. Without that, you wouldn't have that. So like I agree with you.
I mean, there was one series in the 80s which I'm going to presume is meant to be a
back.
Hello.
After we actually took a break for 3 days and we're back now. So
yeah.
How have you been, everyone? We're basically wearing the same t-shirt because we're still Scooby-Doo geeks.
Exactly.
The things that I wanted to discuss with you is that like I knew like it's a bother to draw new clothes in them, but at least like change the color, draw some lines.
To be fair though, they have changed some of their clothes. Like again, going back to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, Shaggy wears a red t-shirt. And also, oh god, there was an animated film, like a very early one, where Shaggy and Scooby are like teaching at a ghoul school.
Ooh, I've seen that one.
And Shaggy again wears a red t-shirt in that one as well. So they do occasionally give them other outfits. Like,
I mean, how hard it is to put one color? Like, okay, it's Tuesday, wear green, red.
There was, I don't know if it's 13 Ghosts again, but there was a show where Daphne is no longer wearing her iconic purple dress. She's wearing...
That one was 13 Ghosts, where she was basically wearing a jumpsuit like April O'Neil.
Yeah, that's it. And her hair was a bit shorter in a bobbed haircut as well. And yet, the one episode where Fred and Velma make a guest appearance, they're wearing the same thing. And they look the same. They look no change whatsoever.
So it's them.
Yeah. So at least they actually show Shaggy and Daphne aging somewhat.
But that's one of the things that freaked me out. So it was What's New Scooby-Doo, and then the next show that they put on was 13 Ghosts. So at that time I was probably in the second or third grade at that time. So I presumed this is a follow-up to What's New Scooby-Doo, even though the animation looked terrible, didn't like connect at all. But then I was like, I thought Fred and Daphne are a couple. What she's doing with Shaggy, and I like presume. So after they grew up, Shaggy and Daphne got married, and Fred and Velma are the one who got married. So is that the story? And they had a puppy, Scooby-Doo. Where did he come from? I mean, so that was like, even my sister, she asked me, is that, so Fred and Daphne are a couple, right? And I say, that's what I thought. But that doesn't happen. So obviously, Daphne married Shaggy. And
now that you say that, now that you bring it up, like, because canonically, I think it's heavily implied that Fred and Daphne, I was going to say Fred and Shaggy for some reason, Fred and Daphne are an item. So why would Daphne go off with Shaggy and Scooby to carry on, obviously, the mystery solving aspect? I can't remember what Fred and Velma went on to do in that series.
Working. They were basically having office jobs, I think, because like when they came out, the rejoining episode, Fred had a briefcase, like he was an office worker.
He was still wearing the same outfit, like even the orange ascot. He was, and Velma obviously still wearing her orange jumper and her red skirt.
That freaked me out though, because I didn't know it was an old cartoon, so like that freaked me out.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember when I looked it up a couple of years ago, the series was meant to go on for a lot longer, but I think Vincent Price had health issues and couldn't reprise his role, and B, and most importantly, the series didn't do that well.
I mean, even the team up doesn't make sense, right? I think the crucial element is Velma. So Shaggy, Scooby, Velma pairing up and then doing something makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's the hole that Vincent was meant to be filling in Velma's absence. And then obviously Scrappy and Flim Flam were like pretty much one and the same.
Yeah.
And obviously Shaggy and Scooby and Daphne were still like the same as their counterparts. But so one question I'd like to ask you, Faith. I know you're asking me the questions, but I have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's something you might even have meant to ask me at some point. But have you seen any like collaboration or crossover episodes where Scooby and or the gang appear in like other types of media?
You're the one who actually introduced me to them doing a collaboration with Supernatural.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Supernatural is a live action US TV series. I think it went on for I want to say 10 seasons.
Probably.
Yeah, something like that. And it's obviously about these two brothers who go around fighting like evil demons and.
Can you get the irony of it? Like kids shows actually point out the knowledge that there are no monsters. It's just
yes.
But adult shows, no, there are monsters and we need to slay them.
Exactly. It's interesting how as you said, goes from kids to monsters aren't real, and as an adult, actually no, they are real.
I'm not supposed to tell you this, but ghosts are real.
Huh?
My brother and I, we hunt them, along with werewolves and vampires and demons, and we've saved the world. A lot.
Again, like the reactions of it is the one like cracks me up still. I'm not spoiling anything. Like Shaggy gets upset for real in that series,
yes.
And Fred's biggest worry is that he could have been hunting real monsters.
We've been stopping real estate developers when we could have been hunting Dracula? Are you kidding me? My life is meaningless.
I don't want to spoil this specifically, but Daphne's worry is actually it's in a way that is so existential crisis. They're like, I mean, kids watch and basically think themselves, are they going there as well? I'm not gonna give it away, guys. You're just gonna have to go and watch that one because, like, the big hair guy, the muscle guy,
the big blonde hair.
Right now, confused it with Johnny Quest, I think.
Oh god, that's another series.
Yeah, they did a crossover with Tom and Jerry, but they also did it with Scooby Doo, I believe. But I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
And also, I haven't seen the Johnny Bravo one as well. The big dude with the blonde hair. yeah, they did a very interesting crossover with him and Scooby and the Scooby Gang. I think it's something like he's going to visit his aunt, and his car breaks down, so they give him a lift. And as it happens, his aunt's not there, but there is a ghost haunting her house, and it's down to them to. But the funny thing is, no one wants to interact with him. So normally, where it's the case that obviously Fred and Daphne go off, Shaggy and Scooby go off, and either Velma goes with one or the other, or she goes off on her own. But in this episode, because there's 6 of them, obviously Fred and Daphne, because of course. Surprises me a little bit. It's like mostly if there's another dude joins in the Fred gang, so the Scooby gang, Daphne would start flirting with him. Usually, it only didn't happen in the Supernatural thing, but like usually, Daphne would start flirting with the other dude more than Fred, and Fred would get jealous of it. It usually is that.
But in this one, obviously, because no woman likes Johnny Bravo, so I think Daphne is like very much trying to get Johnny to leave her alone. But ironically, Velma takes a lot of interest in Johnny, but Johnny doesn't show any interest in her at all because obviously it's Velma.
You know, oh my god, just reminds me of something. It's like that's the weird thing that they did with the Mystery Incorporated. This one almost like I'm actually gonna make a lot of videos based off this, like critiquing that sentence. So, usual Scooby fans would assume that Fred and Daphne are a thing and Velma and Shaggy are a thing, right? So in Mystery Incorporated, they ran with that, and basically they were in a relationship, but then Shaggy chose
Scooby over Velma, yeah.
Over Velma. I was like, what?
By Grabthar's hammer, Fred, the Rogers kid chose a dog over a girl. What's he thinking? This isn't some reality show.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not surprised that he did that. But I am also surprised the fact that they went with the potential romance between Shaggy and Velma. I mean, they only literally did that, I think, because of one of the live action movies. Not the one that you've seen with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr.
I've seen the other ones as well.
Was it what's it called? The Mystery Begins or something?
Something that happens. It starts within the school. It's the school that they go to. That movie. I would say the first movie was not that bad. The first movie was actually good. Not really good as the other ones, but it was good. The second one was just blah. As the Fred and Velma thing is, I mean, I hate the fact that Scooby-Doo is like jealous over Shaggy having a relationship. I mean, like, I don't believe this is a thing that you should show to kids. I mean, you're kind of implying that Shaggy and Scooby are in a relationship. I would say, like, in a plot.
What's that?
No, don't.
Traps Illustrated? Freddy.
I read it for the articles.
Why are you creating weird fetishes for cartoon characters?
That's where you'll see that it's going to steer from kid-friendly Scooby-Doo to 50 Shades. That's what Fred becomes. I think that's what they imply.
Oh my god, that would be dangerous. But
what?
Oh, nothing. I just find it interesting that you apologize to the pretty girl and not to the girl whose science project you destroyed.
I didn't apologize because it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's so good. I love this one, high school drama. I don't watch high school drama at that age. I liked high school drama when I saw it in Scooby-Doo. But that brings me to the other one. So obviously we know, like, that's the thing, like Daphne and Shaggy could be a thing. But will it work? What's your opinion on it?
Daphne and Shaggy as a pairing, I don't think it will. Only because and God, I have to think if I'm remember this correctly, but it's probably the wrong way, because although Daphne does carry herself with some high self-esteem or self-respect or whatever, her parents are more upper class than what she is in comparison. Like, they're the stereotypical billionaire, like living luxury. And I think I might be misremembering this, but doesn't Shaggy also come from a somewhat wealthy background as well?
Yes, in the Pop News Scooby-Doo, I think that's where, like, it kind of implied that they are the ones who actually invented the Scooby Snacks. Their family owns the Scooby Snacks factory or some kind. I think there was an episode in Pop News Scooby-Doo where they like introduced it. That's where I realized it, that, oh, Shaggy's rich. That's
I think there's also I think it's also referenced as well in one of the very early Scooby-Doo animated movies. I think it's the one where it's just Scooby and Shaggy, and I think Scrappy as well. I don't know if he was in the film, but it's basically one where Shaggy is transformed into some sort of werewolf, but they've also got to compete in a driving race.
He was a race car driver in that.
Yeah, and I think it's meant to be implied in that film, I think, that he comes from a wealthy background, ignoring the fact that his real name is Norville, which no middle to lower class family would ever name their kids.
Really? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, his I think it's like Norville Rogers, I think.
Yeah,
but Shaggy is a nickname.
Yeah, Norville Rogers. So, like, what are you saying? Like, it was because it's upper caste family, that's why they named it Norville.
Yeah, yeah.
But Daphne, that name is
Daphne is like, obviously it's part of her character that she carries herself with much higher
Yeah.
Dignity is the word I'm thinking of, than obviously Shaggy does.
But
So I think with that in mind, despite the fact that they're both sort of come from wealthy families, the fact that Daphne carries herself much higher than Shaggy does, that's why I think they won't work.
he couldn't even work with Velma, and Velma's basically trying to like get him, and she says like wear pants, tuck your shirt in. She basically gave him a lot of advice, and he couldn't get into it. So yeah, don't do it, guys. Shaggy and Daphne, please. Here's the ultimate question though. How would Super Saiyan Shaggy fare against Batman?
Oh, he'd win easily. Everyone knows that Shaggy is the ultimate being in the universe. Like nothing can beat him.
It's so bizarre. Like that's like what if like after this we're gonna rate Scooby movies. That movie is really good. That also came out in 2000 somewhere. I had it alongside with Mr. Fantastic Fox when I bought the DVD. So
okay.
Yeah, it's in the 2000s, but like probably near the end of the early 2000s, I would say. So that movie when they did like with Shaggy, I was so blown away. I was sick that night when I watched that movie. I got a bad case of the flu. I couldn't sleep.
Okay.
I woke up and I played the movie and watched Legend of the Phantasm and went like, damn, Shaggy got some skills. And the weird fact that I because it's so popular, I'm so sad that they never brought it up again. I wish they brought it up again, like in a new special, in a good way. I don't want them to ruin it.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen the film, but I have seen a clip of it.
It's bizarre, but like lovingly charming, and the music was really good in that movie, so I would highly recommend it. But there is a point, I think after Legend of the Phantom, there were some good movies that came out, but like currently the last three that came out, I would say, not really well. For that, I was really surprised. Maybe I'm growing out of it because I'm a bit older, I would say, but for some reason I couldn't get into them. They were so lacking. I felt it was so lazy. And while the films that I kind of had in the early 2000s and also in the late 2000s, not late 2000s because we're still in the 2000s, but
yeah.
In my
we're in the 20s technically.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say so. That brings me to my last question: is that how would you rate Scooby-Doo movies? The movies that you don't have to like rate every movie that's out there. Just rate the movies that you've seen as a recommendation, because you're now giving recommendations to our listeners, whoever you are. We are giving
okay.
Scooby-Doo recommendations.
So I'm trying to think of the ones I have seen,
and also give me the reason why. Also
the reason why. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me think. I've seen like. Obviously, I've seen some like one or two of the OG ones, like the Ghoul School one, and that I think if you're into the OG series, I think that's probably the one of the defining moments of Shaggy and Scooby as a duo, because there's no Fred, Velma, or Daphne in that one. It's just Shaggy and Scooby teaching monster. I think they're all girls as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all girls.
You have like a mummy, a werewolf, a vampire, a Frankenstein.
Everyone were girls.
Yeah.
I think in terms of, I want to add something in that movie. There was boys in that too, but they were not in the same school. They were in the military school. They basically end up saving the girls as well at some point. But the boys were really funny because the boys were in a military school, and they were observing these monster girls. And they were like, so she literally, she's a bat. Like, what, cadet? She literally seeing supernatural elements. For some reason, cracks me up with them.
I did watch when obviously they started making more recent Scooby-Doos in the 2000 era. I did see the first film they did. I think it was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. which is interesting because, so normally, like when people think of Scooby-Doo, they always associate it with like, oh, it's someone wearing a mask or a costume. But no, this is an actual film of Scooby-Doo where there is, whilst obviously there is a culprit, there is actual supernatural elements. And apparently, I don't know whether I heard this from someone or if I read it somewhere, but apparently they're meant to be doing a sequel to that specific film.
They did it, and that was bad. It was bad.
Okay.
That's like the last 3 movies that I mentioned are bad movies.
I've seen. Oh God. Let me think. I've seen one where they get trapped in a computer game.
Ooh,
they're visiting
the Phantom Chase.
Yeah, that one was interesting. The only issue I had with that film is like, without spoiling. Well, I'm going to have to spoil it a little bit, but not. I won't spoil the plot, but I have to give a spoilers to the ending. But there's, I think there's only 3. Apart from obviously the group, there's only 3 other characters. You've got obviously the person who is the bad guy, the person they're meeting. They go there to meet someone specifically because they want to make a video game about them, and then there's the guy overseeing the 2 of them. So like there's the the professor, and then got the 2 game engines. There's 3 culprits. And one of them harps on about, I want to make a baseball game. And then, like, after they clear the first level, once they're trapped in the computer game, the first clue they come across is a baseball field. It's like, oh, gee, I wonder which of these 3 it could be after this first clue.
But you're still recommending it though. You're still recommending it.
I actually, yes. Despite that massive flaw, I would say yes, because the last level of the game that they're trapped in is they actually end up meeting their video game counterparts, and they're more closely resembled to the OG animation than the animation that they're based on at the time. That those interactions, I would recommend it. But I've seen both of the films where they meet up with the WWE with John Cena. With John Cena. With John Cena. With John Cena.
John Cena.
And with the Undertaker. The first one on its own, I think it is pretty good. The concept of a WWE city is a bit weird, but when you have to consider that, I think it was Vince McMahon who pitched the idea. I don't know, but he was on board with it basically. The one I have seen but not all the way through is one where they are visiting Velma in Egypt, who has helped to do this exhibition.
Where's my mummy?
Yeah, and then obviously, I'm a bit. Obviously, it was a good twist. The ending, when you sort of unmask who the bad guys were. At the same time, when you know who it is, it's like, how did you let yourself get caught? How you should know better than anyone what's going to happen.
But you know the weird thing, like that also, it's a product of its time. I think it's like in the 2000s, the Mummy movies, one of my favorites. The Mummy movies did very well in the 2000s, and they were basically doing a pun on that. I would say it had the same actor. There was a character in the Mummy movies. He's the same person who voices here, and basically he's kind of the same character, I would say. So yeah, it kind of like, I mean, if you're a Mummy fan, I would say the Mummy movie fan, it can tingle you a little bit of your nostalgia a little bit.
Of the ones I've seen, those are the ones I recommend.
Yeah, but this is the one of the things I'm favorite about, because like I've seen, I think more than that, I've seen like a lot of them. Scooby-Doo movies for some reason. I don't know how I managed the time to see it, but I've like seen all of them. That's why this is more of a recommendation to you, Danny, because like this is like best out of the best, I would say, from my Scooby-Doo taste balance. So I'm not gonna rank them in particular order, but which I would say like one of the best, the Witch's Ghost, which debuted the introduction of the Hex Girls.
Oh no. Yeah, no, I have seen that one. Again, not all the way through, but I do remember the Hex Girls.
With Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, yeah.
So that one, I would say, for me, that ranks above Zombie Island for some reason. For me, especially. Mainly because I find the Hex Girls, at least one of the Hex Girls, pretty hot. So maybe it's because of that. And also, I love the songs that they did in the Hex Girl song, and also the song they did in the last one, Wind and Fire. I really hope that they get the actresses and do like a really long version of that song, at least going up to 4 minutes, but never happened. But I wanted so much. I don't know why. I still have it in my PC, that songs. So I would rank that above that, and second I would rank Zombie Island. But these two you already know. But the ones you do not know is that, so this is particularly because of the scare element. I would put Scooby-Doo Summer Camp Scare, which is a new one. It came out probably in 2011 or 12, 13 during that years. I would say it's good because of the scare element. For some reason, the three monsters they come across, the first one is not that supernatural-ish, but it's more like a Jason character, like a slasher character. And there were instances where they really did the animation well, and like the pacing and the action scenes well. So you really feel like the character's gonna get split up by that axe. The sound effects is a killer, so that one was good. And there's another monster that appears in the middle. And obviously you're a horror fan, you're not gonna be frightened by it. But for me, I would tell you this, the reason why I have a thing with daylight scare. I think it's partly because of this movie, Stand Alone. I don't like standing alone in the middle of the afternoon with nothing like in my, just because it was my school grounds. It was totally empty. No one was there. It's just for me. It was middle of the afternoon, so like completely empty. It somehow reminded me of that Scooby-Doo movie, and it scared the shit out of me. There was also the other monster. Like the dangers for some reason is so real, and probably the reason why they never did something like that, I believe, afterwards the movies were really watered down. So I would recommend you that. I would definitely think that will scare you, and also you guys watch Scooby-Doo Camp Scare. It's really scary. The danger is very real in that one. That's like this. Okay. The only one. The other one is my childhood favorite. This is like the first Scooby-Doo cartoon movie that I saw, which was Scooby-Doo and the Pirate Adventure. It's not scary, but the nautical, like the pirate feel, and also the music in it is so good.
Waking up and all surround, lonely winds for we are bound. Waking up before the sound, yo hi ho and blow me down. Yo ho, a pirating we go. Yo ho, dash a pirate a word and like the skirting off will always bang. Yo ho, we go.
That you like this movie no matter what. From beginning to end, the music is always there in that entire movie, and you like this. So that's okay. Probably gonna be my fourth. The other one was with the Phantom Scare. Again, music is really good. Twists are really good in the Phantom version. Scooby-Doo and the Phantom of the Opera. We get like basically 3 or 4 bad guys. and it's not at all obvious. Some things come out of the blue, some things are kind of obvious, you can suspect, but it comes out of blue. And again, there was one bad guy where the danger is real. Like, you really feel that their lives is at stake. So the other one would be, is that Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Slash. The reason why I say this, again, not scary, not that big. Even though I say this, here's the thing. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, and also this movie, I closed the movie before it ended because I thought the movie ended early. That's why those who watch it first, the movie does not end at the point that you're thinking it's going to end. There's a whole half hour left. In that sense, the Samurai Slash is a really good one. So the other ones, I would say, not worth the time or the money, I would say. So yeah, those are my recommendation and Danny's recommendations. You heard it. We're both Scooby-Doo fans, so take up our word. It's really good. I mean, if you like Scooby-Doo, these are the movies that you need to watch. Any closing thoughts on Scooby-Doo, Danny?
Nothing that we haven't already sort of discussed at great length, but I will say, again, I'm still looking through the list of different media that's associated with Scooby-Doo. There is a Lego Scooby-Doo movie. Did you know that?
There's a, oh yeah,
There's a Lego
I know that. Here's the thing, I would not recommend any Lego movies except the one with Chris Pratt. Other than that, I would not recommend any Lego movies of Star Wars, of Disney, of anything. They're not worth the time. They're not worth... I have a bad thing with Legos. I really have a grudge against Legos because...
Did you step on one?
Huh? No,
did you step on one?
That's not the reason, but that's a really a justifiable reason. There was this series called Thundercats 2011, which you know, Danny, because I basically talk about that a lot. That series came out. It was great. It was kind of doing well. It didn't really sell all the toys, but it's kind of doing well. They were ready for the season 2, but then Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, I'm not sure which came out in, they decided to make a Lego Bands of Shima thing with like lion characters, and they basically took off Thundercats.
Yeah, so I can be found on Instagram and Twitter at Danny Unplanned. I can be found on Twitch as Downbeat Danny. And whilst I personally don't have a public Facebook account, I am part of an improv group called Portsmouth Improv Experience, or PI for short. You can find us on Facebook at Portsmouth Improv. And obviously, if you happen to be in the UK and if you want to check us out, then feel free. We now that we're able to meet up again, we are obviously planning. I say planning. We're obviously rehearsing and getting ready to do live shows again.
Hooray! And also check us out on Extreme Improv, where we do improv, possibly Scooby-Doo reference there as well. And also we have a thing called Geek Battle with Extreme Improv, where we basically geek out, but not that's 2 hours long. I really want to push David to say, like, we should do this a little much more long hours than 1 hour, as we typically do in Geek Battle. I wanted to extend a little bit. So yeah, come us down on Geek Battle, where we play geeky games and talk about geeky stuff. Scooby-Doo hasn't not been a subject yet, but we will push it to make that happen.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it for me, and that's it from Danny. And also, I would post all the links in the description, as possibly Danny's provided, so you can go and check us out there. So how I usually end the SWAT Deeds thing? Usually I do a maniacal laugh, but like I'm just good. Hey, you know what? That's all, folks.
Dooby dooby doo!